I opened my eyes and saw Xander beside me. "Aurora," he breathed, relief flooding his features. "You're awake. How do you feel?" I tried to get up, but I winced because pain was running through my body. "I'm fine," I groaned. "What happened?" Xander gently pushed me back onto the pillows. "There was an explosion in the clearing. We found you unconscious. Do you remember anything?" The memories came rushing back. The battle, chasing the red-eyed wolf into the forest, and then... "Rider Storm," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "The Rogue King." Xander's expression darkened. "What did he say to you, Aurora?" I recounted my encounter with Ryder, trying to remember every detail. As I spoke, I could see the concern in Xander's eyes growing. "He said I've been lied to my entire life," I finished, my voice shaking slightly. "That there's some truth about my heritage that's been hidden from me. And he mentioned my mother, said he knew her better than anyone." Xander was silent for a while, his brow furrowed in thought. Finally, he said, "The name Rider Storm does appear in some of our older pack records. He is known as the Rogue King." I sat up, ignoring the pain I felt. "We need to find out more, if there's any truth to what he said." Xander nodded, determination replacing the worry in his eyes. "I agree. Once you're feeling up to it, we'll start with the pack's historical records. Maybe we can find something the previous alphas overlooked." 2 days later, after I had persuaded the pack's doctor that I was healthy enough to leave the medical area, Xander and I ended up in the pack's old library. We were surrounded by rows and rows of old books and scrolls, and the air smelled like old paper. Where do we even begin? I wondered out loud, feeling a bit lost because there was so much to look through. Xander took a big, leather-covered book from a shelf close by. "Let's begin with the chronicles of past alphas. If Rider Storm was once as powerful as he claims, there might be some mention of him here." We spent hours looking at old records, our eyes getting tired in the not-so-bright light. Just when I was going to say we should rest for a while, I noticed something. A brick that wasn't in place in the wall behind one of the bookshelves. "Xander, look," I said, pointing it out. He helped me move the heavy shelf aside, and I carefully removed the brick. Hidden behind it lay a tiny bundle wrapped in fabric. Shakily, I unfolded it to uncover an old leather notebook. When I flipped it open, a piece of paper dropped out. I was shocked when I saw the tidy writing on it. "Property of Aurora Nightshade." This was my mother's," I whispered, my heart pounding. Xander squeezed my shoulder supportively. "What does it say?" I started to read. Most of the entries were mundane. Pack business, personal reflections. But then I came across a name that made my blood run cold. "Ryder visited again today. His ideas are becoming more radical, more dangerous. I fear the path he's heading down, but he won't listen to reason. How did my oldest friend become someone I barely recognize?" "Xander," I said, my voice shaking. "My mother knew Rider Storm. They were friends." We exchanged a look of shock before I continued reading. The journal painted a picture of a complex relationship, one that had soured over time. Rider Storm, once a respected alpha and ally, had become increasingly obsessed with power and ancient prophecies. As I turned a page, a small sketch fell out. The picture showed a cabin in the forest, and as soon as I looked at it, a clear memory came back to me. I remembered being a little kid, hiding under a bed in that same cabin, hearing scary voices fighting in the room next door. I gasped, dropping the journal. I remember something. A cabin, just like this one. I think I was there as a child." Xander's expression was grim. "It seems there's more to your past than either of us realized. We need more information, Aurora, and I think I know where we might find it." He explained that he had connections with a neighboring pack, whose elder was known for his vast knowledge of werewolf history. With a few calls, Xander arranged a meeting. The following morning, we headed towards the nearby pack's land. While we were driving through the thick woods, I had a persistent sense that someone was observing us. "Xander," I mentioned, my voice showing my concern. "I think there's something wrong." As soon as I spoke, several rogue wolves suddenly appeared from the trees and surrounded our vehicle. Xander quickly turned the wheel, almost crashing into a tree as he attempted to dodge them. "Hold on," he shouted, accelerating down the bumpy forest road. But the thieves were quick, matching the speed of the car. One jumped onto the front, his sharp nails scratching the metal. Without hesitating, I pushed my hand out, sensing a rush of power within me. A burst of strong light shot from my hand, knocking the rogues back. I stared at my hand in shock, then at Xander, who looked equally surprised. "Since when could you do that?" he asked, his eyes wide. I don't know, it just happened," I whispered. Using my newfound power, we managed to fight off the remaining rogues and continue our journey, though the unexpected attack left us both shaken. We arrived at the neighboring pack's territory late in the afternoon. The elder, Orion, was a wizened old werewolf with silver hair and keen eyes that seemed to look right through me. "So," he said, his voice rough from years, "you've come asking about Ryder Storm." His voice showed he was worried, and I could feel he didn't want to talk about it. "Please," I said, moving closer. "We need to know. He's threatening my pack, and he claims to know things about my past, about my mother." Orion sighed heavily, seeming to age years in a matter of seconds. "Ryder Storm," he began, "was once one of the most respected alphas in werewolf history. Powerful, charismatic, visionary. But power corrupts, and Ryder became obsessed with ancient prophecies and forbidden magics." "What kind of prophecies?" Xander inquired, his hand reaching for mine and giving it a comforting squeeze. Orion's eyes moved from one to the other, like he was thinking about how much to tell us. Finally, he said, "There's an old story that talks about the daughter of the moon and the king of rogues. It is said their clash will determine the fate of all werewolves." My heart raced. Could this be what Ryder was referring to? He raised his hand before I could ask any more questions. "That is all I have to say about it. There are some things that should remain memories. Now, I feel it's time you left." He would not say another word on the matter, no matter how much we persisted. Leaving his house, I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something vital that we didn't understand, something very crucial. "Someone's following us," Xander whispered as we walked back to our car. I nodded, having sensed the presence of unknown werewolves tailing us since we left Orion's. "I have an idea," I whispered back. Quickly, I outlined a plan to trap our pursuers and hopefully gain more information. We pretended to have car trouble, pulling over in a secluded area. As we feigned working on the engine, I used my heightened senses to track the movements of our followers. When they were close enough, Xander and I sprang into action. Using a combination of physical prowess and my lunar powers, we managed to subdue most of the group. One young werewolf, however, we captured alive. "Please, don't hurt me," he whispered fearfully while Xander held him down. "I'm only following orders." "Whose orders?" I demanded. My hands glowing with lunar energy. "Our Ryder Storm," the young wolf stuttered. "My name is Liam. He asked us to watch you and report back on your activities." I squatted beside him, looking into his scared eyes. As I did, I had a funny feeling, like I would know if he was lying or not. "He's not lying," I told Xander, shocked by my new ability. Liam quickly agreed. "I promise, I'm being honest, but I don't know anything about Ryder's plans. We're just small-time helpers, asked to watch and report back." I trusted him, but I also felt like there was something he wasn't saying. "What are you not telling us, Liam?" He swallowed hard. "It's just, Ryder is obsessed with you, Aurora. He talks about you like you're the key to everything, but I don't know what he means by that, I swear." Xander and I exchanged worried glances. It seemed that every solution we discovered just brought up more inquiries. Once we got Liam to agree not to bother us anymore, with Xander's not-so-subtle warning supporting our request, we allowed him to leave and carried on with our trip. "So what do we do next?" I inquired while we were driving, feeling the burden of the day's happenings on my thoughts. Xander's hold on the steering wheel became firmer. "We keep digging. There's more to this story. Your mother's journal, the prophecy Orion mentioned, Ryder's obsession with you. It's all connected somehow." I nodded, determination replacing my earlier uncertainty. "You're right. Whatever Ryder is planning, whatever secrets are hidden in my past, we will find out together." I ended up in a place I knew very well, but it all felt off. The house I grew up in had rooms that now looked really weird and stretched out. Dark shapes kept moving at the edges of what I could see. It felt like I was a tiny kid again, maybe about 5 or 6, hiding behind the big couch in our living room. "You can't do this, Ryder." My mom's voice, which was usually quiet and comforting, was now full of a kind of fear I'd never heard, The prophecy isn't supposed to be pushed. You'll destroy everything." "Don't be naive, Emily." The responding voice sent chills down my spine. Deep and commanding, it held an undercurrent of barely contained rage. "The old ways have made us weak. It's time for a change, and your daughter is the main factor." I looked cautiously from behind the sofa, my heart racing. My parents were standing opposite a tall man with very white hair and bright red eyes. Ryder Storm. Even in my dream, I recognized him and what he would turn into. "We won't let you get close to her," my father said fiercely, moving to shield my mother. "Aurora's destiny is her own. We won't let you twist it for your sick ambitions." Ryder's laugh was cold and cruel. "You don't have a choice, old friend. The girl's power will be mine, one way or another." The next events appeared to happen in a very slow way. Ryder's body started to change, with his bones breaking and reshaping as he turned into a huge, scary wolf. My parents didn't have much time to react before he attacked them. I wanted to shout, to run away, or do anything to prevent what I knew was about to happen, but I couldn't move, and I had to watch as Ryder viciously attacked my parents. Their cries filled the house, blending with the growls of the creature that used to be their friend. After it was all done, Ryder stood above their injured bodies, his mouth covered in blood. His red eyes found mine, and I saw a gleam of triumph in their depths. "Soon, little moonchild," he growled. "Soon, you'll understand your true purpose." The scene shifted, blurring and reforming. I saw flashes of what came after. Pack elders hurrying me away from the blood-soaked house, urgent whispers about keeping me safe, hiding me away. Next, I found myself circled by people in robes who were singing in an old language while doing a ritual. I could feel a growing pressure in my mind, and it felt like my memories were slowly disappearing, just like water slipping through my hands. All at once, I was back to being myself, standing in a space filled with moving shadows. Ryder showed up in front of me, not as a wolf anymore, but still just as scary. "Do you see now, Aurora?" he asked, his voice bouncing around the space. "Do you understand what was taken from you? What you truly are?" I tried to speak, to demand answers, but no sound came out. Ryder's laughter echoed as everything turned dark. I woke up shouting, my body soaked with sweat. Uncontrolled bursts of moon energy flowed from my hands, creating strange shadows on the walls of my room. I could still hear the echoes of my parents' shouts, could still see Ryder's eyes, red like blood, staring into mine. The door flew open, and Xander hurried in, his eyes filled with worry. "Aurora! What's wrong? What's wrong?" I couldn't find the words to explain the terrifying thing I just saw. More pack members crowded in behind Xander, Celine, Jackson, and others, all looking alarmed. "Aurora," Xander said softly, approaching me slowly like I was a wounded animal. "You're safe. It was just a dream." I shook my head violently. "No," I managed to choke out. "Not just a dream, a memory." Over the next hour, I recounted every detail of the nightmare to Xander and the others. With each word, I saw their expressions grow more grave, more worried. "This changes everything," Jackson said when I'd finished. "If Ryder really killed your parents, then he's even more dangerous than we thought," Xander finished, his jaw clenched in anger. Celine, who had been quietly contemplating, spoke up. "Aurora, have you considered seeking a dream walker? They could assist you in accessing more of your hidden memories." I hadn't considered that, but it seemed logical. If there were additional forgotten memories, a dream walker might be the way to discover them. "That's not a bad idea," Xander concurred. "But we must proceed cautiously. If Ryder notices Aurora is recalling things." Just as he said that, Jackson's phone vibrated. His face grew serious as he checked the message. "Speaking of Ryder, we've got reports of increased rogue activity near our borders. It could be a coincidence, but it's probably not," I finished, a chill running down my spine. "He knows. Somehow he knows I'm starting to remember." The room fell into tense silence as we all contemplated the implications. Finally, Xander spoke up. "We need more information. Do you still have your mother's journal?" I nodded and took the old leather book from my bedside table. "I've gone over it many times, but we might have skipped something important." We spent hours looking through my mother's diary. We checked each page thoroughly to find any clues we might have overlooked. When the sun started rising, the light streaming through the windows grew strong. Then I found something strange. "Hold on," I said, taking a closer look. Look at this page. In the soft morning light, barely visible indentations could be seen on an otherwise blank page. My mother had written something in code, pressing hard enough to leave an impression, but not hard enough to be easily seen. "Good eye," Xander said, squinting at the page. "But what does it mean?" We spent the next hour trying to decipher the hidden message. It was Celine who finally cracked it. "It's coordinates," she said triumphantly. "Your mother left the location of something. A safe house, maybe? Or hidden information?" I felt really excited. This might be the big moment we've been waiting for. "We have to go see it," I said, quickly getting ready to leave. Xander agreed. "I'll join you. The others, stay careful. Those rogues are becoming more daring, so we need to be extra careful." While we got ready to go, collecting things we needed and looking at maps of the place the clues pointed to, I couldn't stop feeling like something bad was going to happen. I knew we were close to finding something important, but what would it mean to us? Right before we left, Jackson rushed in, looking worried. "We have an issue," he said, sounding very tense. "Ryder Storm has been spotted near our territory, and he's heading straight for us." My blood ran cold. Ryder was on his way, and I had a feeling he wouldn't go away without taking me with him. "What should we do?" Celine asked, glancing at Xander and me. I took a deep breath, getting ready for what was ahead. "We need to confront him," I said, surprised by how confident my voice sounded. "It's time to finish this, no matter what." Xander held my hand tightly, his eyes showing both pride and worry as he looked at me. "Together," he whispered. As we gathered the group and got ready for Ryder's arrival, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets would be uncovered during our showdown. The truth about how my parents died, the full details of the prophecy, and my real background. Everything was about to be revealed. As the first sounds of Ryder's advancing troops reached us from afar, I understood that everything was about to change. The last fight was near, and the outcome would not only affect our group, but possibly all werewolves. With Xander beside me and our pack behind us, I stepped forward to meet my fate. No matter what Ryder had in mind or what secrets were about to come to light, I was prepared. The days of hiding and escaping were done. When Ryder's large figure came into view, his fiery eyes shining with wicked victory, I felt a rush of strength I had never known before. Even though the sun hid the moon, it seemed to beat in time with my heart. "Welcome back, young moonchild," Ryder's voice echoed over the space between us. "Are you ready to embrace your fate?" I stood my ground, supported by the strength of my pack behind me. "I'm prepared to learn the truth," I shouted back. "And then I'm determined to defeat you, for good." Ryder's laughter bounced around the open space, a chilling sound that made me uneasy. "Oh, Aurora," he said, his tone teasing and sinister. "You have no clue what you're truly able to do, but don't fret. I'm here to demonstrate it to you." As Ryder and his group moved closer, I prepared myself for the fight ahead. Whatever was coming, I knew that the world I understood was about to be transformed. The prophecy, my background, the future of werewolves everywhere. It all depended on this instant. Taking a deep breath, I allowed the energy of the moon to fill me. It was time to accept my fate, whatever that might be. "Let's finish this," I snarled, my eyes shining with lunar power. Everything around me turned chaotic as Ryder's rogues fought against us. The air was full of angry noises and the horrible sounds of people hurting each other. I stayed where I was, feeling a strong energy flowing through me, stronger than I've ever felt it. Taking a big breath, I used that energy, feeling it grow inside me until I couldn't hold it back anymore. I let out a strong burst of energy that pushed the rogues away from me. The sight of their bodies tumbling through the air gave our side a momentary boost of confidence. "Nice work," Xander said suddenly at my side. His presence calmed me, grounding me in the midst of the madness. We moved together, our actions perfectly in sync, as we fought off rogue after rogue. It felt like a deadly dance, and Xander and I were the star performers. But our moment of harmony was short-lived. Through the sea of battling wolves, I saw a pair of glowing red eyes fixed on me. Ryder Storm was coming, cutting a path straight toward a singular focus. "Aurora!" Xander shouted, noticing the approaching threat. But before we could decide what to do, everything around us suddenly exploded. The blast knocked me down and threw me into the air. I crashed onto the ground with a heavy sound, unable to catch my breath. As I struggled to get up, feeling disoriented and with my ears buzzing, I became more and more scared when I noticed I was alone. The explosion had separated me from Xander and the rest of our forces. I was in a thick area of the woods where the noises from the big fight were quiet because of the heavy tree cover overhead. It felt like there were hidden figures all around me, and I realized I was encircled by sneaky enemies staying just beyond my view. "Well, well, well," a voice spoke from the shadows, sounding eerily recognizable. Rider Storm emerged from the shadows, his massive form seeming to absorb what little light filtered through the trees. His red eyes glowed with malevolent triumph. "It doesn't need to be like this, Rider," I told him, doing my best to sound calm, even though I was terrified inside. "We can end this peacefully." Rider's laugh was cold and cruel. "Oh, Aurora, still so naive. This was always meant to be between you and me. Your destiny and mine, intertwined since before you were born." I sensed movement behind me, more rogues closing in. I am trapped, and there was no way out. "Okay," I said angrily, getting ready to fight. "Let's finish this." Rider's form blurred as he charged at me with inhuman speed. I barely had time to raise a lunar shield before his claws raked across it, sending sparks of energy flying. The impact sent me skidding backward, but I held my ground. We clashed again and again, Rider's dark powers a stark contrast to my lunar energy. Each time our powers met, it sent shockwaves through the forest, felling trees and scattering wildlife. As we fought, I felt something stirring within me. The shadows that had seemed so threatening before now felt different. I didn't know how it happened, but I managed to control them, using them to stop Rider's attacks and start my own. Rider's eyes widened with shock. "Yes," he hissed. "You're beginning to understand, to embrace your true nature." "What are you talking about?" I demanded, using a tendril of shadow to knock Rider off balance. He recovered quickly, circling me with predatory grace. "You are so much more than just the daughter of the moon goddess Aurora. Your heritage, your destiny, it goes far beyond what you've been told." I tried to push past him, to find a way back to my pack, but Rider's elite guards materialized from the shadows, cutting off my escape. The sounds of the main battle were growing fainter. With dawning horror, I realized Rider was herding me away from my allies, deeper into unknown territory. "Where are you taking me?" I asked, my eyes looking for a way out. Rider's smile was all teeth. "To the place where it all began, where you'll finally understand who and what you truly are." The forest grew denser, the trees more ancient and gnarled, the air buzzed with ancient power. Then, through the foliage, I spotted a structure. It was old, almost swallowed by the growth around it, with a surface covered in strange symbols that tickled my memory. "What is this place?" I questioned. "A temple," Rider replied, his voice uncharacteristically reverent, "dedicated to a deity far older than your precious moon goddess. A power that has been forgotten by most, but not by me." As he pushed me into the temple, something strange happened. A burst of energy, totally new to me, filled the air. It was like my body was connecting with the very stones of the building. The old symbols on the walls started to glow with a weird light, pulsing in time with something inside me. Rider pushed me to the middle of the room. There was a round platform with big pillars all around it. "It's time, Aurora," he said, looking really excited. "Time for you to accept your real purpose." Before I could react, Rider began chanting in a language I didn't understand but felt I should. The air around us grew thick with power, dark tendrils of energy swirling around Rider and reaching out toward me. "What are you doing?" I cried, trying to back away but finding myself rooted to the spot. "Unlocking your potential," Rider growled between phrases of the chant. "Awakening the power has been hidden inside you for so long." I sensed a change within me, a shadowy presence that both scared and attracted me. It hinted at immense power, at mysteries deeply concealed. Part of me wanted to give in, to let this new power consume me. But as I teetered on the brink, a sound cut through the haze of Rider's ritual. A howl distant but unmistakable, Xander. That sound, filled with desperation and love, gave me the strength to resist. I concentrated on it, using it as a way to bring myself back from the brink. "No," I yelled, my voice ringing out in the temple. I gathered all the lunar energy I had, mixing it with my recently gained ability to manipulate shadows. The powerful burst of energy made Ryder stumble back. For a brief moment, we stood looking at each other, both breathing heavily from the effort. The temple around us creaked unsettlingly, with cracks forming in the old stone. "Wickers, you can't resist your true nature forever, Aurora," Ryder said, his voice a mix of anger and something that seemed like worry. "Eventually you'll have to confront reality." "Perhaps," I answered, holding my position even as the temple fell apart around us. "But I'll do it my way, not yours." At that moment, a very bright light filled the temple, so bright that it made Ryder's red eyes look dim. I felt like the light was pulling me towards it. Ryder tried to hold me, but his hand went right through me like I was made of fog. When the light surrounded me completely, the last thing I saw was Ryder's face, showing both anger and fear. Then everything went white. When the light faded, I found myself elsewhere. It wasn't the temple or the forest or anywhere I recognized. T was standing on a surface that seemed to be made of pure energy, with streams of light and darkness flowing beneath me. "Hello," a voice called out from behind me. I turned around and saw a bright figure. The brightness was overwhelming. It felt like I was trying to stare directly into the sun. What are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. The creature's look transformed into a wolf with bright white fur. It spoke to me, but not with a voice I heard with my ears. It talked inside my head. "Guardian, judge, keeper of balance, but you may know me as the true source of your power." "I'm confused," I whispered, feeling lost. The wolf came closer, its eyes pools of infinite wisdom. "You, Aurora, are my chosen vessel, the one who can use the power of the moon in the shadows. It falls to you to stop him, to restore the equilibrium that has been lost." I felt the weight of this revelation settling on my shoulders. It was all too much, too intense. I'm not sure if I can handle this," I murmured. The starlight wolf gently pressed its nose against my forehead, and I felt a rush of warmth and power fill me. "You're not alone, Aurora. You have never been alone. Your pack, your mate, the very forces of nature, all stand with you. Embrace your destiny, and you'll discover the power to handle any difficulties that come your way." When the entity said this last thing, I noticed the surroundings starting to disappear. The plane of energy dissolved, replaced by the crumbling stones of the temple. I was back in my body, facing Ryder Storm once more. But now, everything is different. I could feel the power within me, a perfect balance of light and shadow. I understood now what I was meant to do. Ryder's eyes opened wide when he noticed the difference in me. "What did you do?" he asked angrily, moving back. I stood straight, feeling more sure of myself and stronger than ever. "I've accepted my fate," I replied, my tone filled with fresh confidence. "And now, Ryder Storm, it's time to fix the harm you've tried so hard to cause." As Ryder lunged at me, his form twisted by dark energy, I prepared to meet his attack. The future of not only our groups, but the whole world was at stake, and I was finally prepared to confront it directly. The temple kept falling apart as we fought, with light and darkness mixing in a dangerous struggle. No matter what happened, I understood that everything would change forever. The temple continued to crumble around us as Ryder and I faced off. The air crackled with energy, a mixture of my newly balanced light and shadow powers, and Ryder's dark force. I could sense the power surging within me, but it was chaotic and unruly. Managing it felt like attempting to steer a furious river using only my hands. "You believe you've gained something, right?" Ryder scoffed, his red eyes shining with a spiteful delight. "You have no clue how to harness that power. You're just a kid messing with things you can't grasp." I clenched my jaw, attempting to concentrate. "I might not entirely understand it yet, but I know enough to halt you." With that, I launched myself at him, channeling my energy into a blast of combined moonlight and shadow. Ryder met it with a wave of darkness, and the two powers crashed together in a dazzling blast that made the temple floor shake. For a second, I felt like I was winning, but then Ryder's laughter filled the room, making me feel really cold and scared. "Oh, Aurora," he said, looking a bit sad. "You don't know I've been holding back all this time, trying not to damage the goods, but I see now that you need a proper lesson." Before I could react, Ryder's form seemed to blur and expand. A heavy darkness flowed from him like waves, and it made the last bit of light in the temple disappear. I felt the strong force of his power pushing on me, making it difficult to breathe. I attempted to use my powers to fight back, but it felt like trying to stop a huge wave with just a small bucket. Ryder's strong attack hit me with full force, throwing me across the room. I crashed into a column, and the hit took my breath away. Little flashes of light appeared in my sight as I fell to the floor. "You see?" Ryder's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "This is true power. This is what you could have if you'd only embrace your destiny." I struggled to my feet, spitting blood. "I have embraced my destiny," I growled, "just not the twisted version you're selling." I reached out with my mind, trying to connect with Xander and the pack. If I could just let them know where I was, but there was nothing. The bond that usually hummed in the back of my mind was silent, blocked by Ryder's dark energy. "They can't help you now," Ryder said, moving closer to me while parts of the ceiling fell around us. "It's just you and me, like it was supposed to be." I stepped back, trying to find some time and gather my strength. "Why me, Ryder? Of all the werewolves in the world, why am I so important to your plans?" Ryder's smile was all teeth. "Because you're special, Aurora. With you beside me, we could transform the world. No longer hiding in the shadows, no longer obeying human rules. Werewolves would take their rightful place as the dominant species. And how many would die to make that happen?" I shot back. "How many innocents would suffer?" "We have to make sacrifices for the better outcome," Ryder said casually. "You'll get it eventually." While he was talking, I saw a big piece of the ceiling ready to crash down right on him. I grabbed the chance, used all the strength I had, and aimed it at the falling rocks. The force I sent hit the stones just as they started to drop, covering Ryder with a pile of broken pieces. For a moment, hope surged through me. Had I actually managed to... What? A roar of fury cut through the dust and debris. Ryder emerged from it, his eyes filled with fury. Before I could react, he was already on me, his sharp nails scratching my side. I cried out in pain and fell back. "Enough games," Ryder snarled, advancing on me. I attempted to defend myself, but my efforts appeared to have no effect on him. He pushed me away as if I were just an annoying bug. I hit the ground hard, my eyesight becoming hazy. This was it, I realized with a sinking feeling. I had failed. Ryder stood above me, his eyes shining with triumph. "Now I will get what is rightfully mine," he murmured. Suddenly, we heard a loud noise. A huge brown wolf smashed through the wall. Rocks flew everywhere. As I watched the wolf battle Ryder, there was something familiar about its movements, its scent, but in my battered state I couldn't place it. "Run, Aurora," a voice echoed in my mind. It took me a moment to realize it was coming from the mysterious wolf. "Get out while you can." I managed to stand up, feeling the ache in my side. "I won't leave you to deal with him by yourself," I replied loudly. The brown wolf dodged one of Ryder's attacks, its jaws snapping dangerously close to the Rogue King's throat. "This isn't your fight anymore. Go." But I stood my ground, summoning what little energy I had left. As Ryder focused on the new threat, I managed to hit him with a blast of lunar energy, throwing him off balance. Ryder snarled in frustration, now having to contend with both of us. "You think this changes anything?" he roared. "I'll destroy you both." We were in the middle of a fierce battle inside the crumbling temple. The mysterious wolf and I are facing off against Ryder. Despite feeling tired, I had some hope because we were managing to keep up with him. All of a sudden, Ryder moved quickly and hit me with all his strength. It made me fly across the room, and I heard a loud thud as my body met the floor, and my head started spinning. Through blurred vision, I saw Ryder turn his full attention to the brown wolf. They clashed in a fury of teeth and claws, moving almost too fast for my eyes to follow. Even though I was pretty out of it, I could tell that Ryder was starting to win the fight. "No," I said weakly, trying to sit up. But my body wouldn't respond, too battered and drained to obey my commands. I watched in horror as Ryder finally overpowered the mysterious wolf. He roared in victory as he pushed the brown wolf to the ground. His teeth were tight on the wolf's neck. Ryder talked, but he didn't really sound like he cared. "You did well," he said, not meaning it, "but ultimately futile. Still, you might prove useful." With a strength that seemed impossible, Ryder lifted the struggling wolf as if it weighed nothing. "Consider this a lesson, Aurora," he called to me. "This is the price of defiance." When I tried to stop him, darkness was starting to fill my eyes. The last thing I saw was Ryder going through a hole in the wall with the wolf still in his hands. When I woke up, it was quiet. Everything from the fight and the falling stones was gone. It took a while, but I was finally able to stand up. The place was a mess. The moon was shining through the big holes in the ceiling, lighting up all the broken pieces of the temple lair. Of Ryder and the mysterious wolf, there was no sign. Stumbling, I made my way towards the exit. Questions raced through my mind. Who was that wolf? Why did they seem so familiar? And what would Ryder do to them? As I emerged from the ruined temple, a wave of relief washed over me. In the distance, I could see Xander and members of our pack. They were alive. I started towards them, my heart soaring despite my injuries. But after a few steps, I slammed into an invisible barrier. No matter how I pushed or clawed, I couldn't get through. Some kind of magical force field separated me from my pack. "Xander!" I shouted, pounding on the barrier. "I'm here. Help!" But they gave no indication of hearing me. I watched in growing desperation as they moved about, clearly searching for something or someone. Me, I realized. I was so close, yet impossibly far. Trapped on one side of a magical divide, battered and alone, with Ryder and his captive long gone. Feeling the burden of failure weighed me down, trying to squash my spirit. Yet, as I looked at my pack, something strong grew inside me. It started in my stomach and felt like a solid promise. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Somehow I would find a way back to my pack. I would discover the identity of the mysterious wolf who had saved me. And I would stop Ryder, no matter the cost. I stumbled through the thick woods, feeling my body hurt with each move. The things that happened in the temple kept coming back to me. Fighting with Ryder, the strange wolf helping me, and the terrible time when Ryder caught my rescuer. I felt bad and wanted to continue, even though I was exhausted. Out of nowhere, I noticed a change in the atmosphere. The unseen wall that kept me away from my group was gone, and I was near our campsite. I felt happy, but also exhausted. My legs couldn't hold me up anymore, and I fell down. "Aurora!" Xander's voice broke through my pain and tiredness. He was by my side in no time, holding me in his arms. His familiar smell, like pine trees, dirt, and home, made me cry. "Call the healer," Xander yelled, his voice shaking his chest. "Hurry!" As gentle hands tended to my wounds, I recounted everything that had happened in the temple. Xander listened intently, his expression growing darker with each word. "A mysterious wolf?" he asked, his brow furrowed. "And you say it felt familiar somehow?" I nodded weakly. "There was something about him, Xander. I can't explain it, but I feel like I should know who it is." From the corner of my eye, I noticed Asher lingering nearby, listening intently. There was an odd intensity to his gaze that made me uneasy, but I was too drained to dwell on it. "And these new powers," Xander prompted. "Light and shadow?" I stretched my fingers, feeling the two energies flowing within me. It's unlike anything I've felt before. But I can barely control it. If I had been stronger, maybe I could have. Xander silenced me with a gentle kiss. "You did everything you could, Aurora. We'll figure this out together." As the healer finished patching me up, Xander called for a joint meeting of both packs. We soon found ourselves gathered around the bonfire, with faces we knew and some we didn't, all lit up by the dancing flames. I stood up, my legs a bit wobbly, and everyone looked at me as I told my story again. People gasped and whispered as I explained how a strange wolf helped me and then got caught. "We have to save him," I finished, my voice hoarse but determined. "Whoever he is, he risked everything to help me. We can't abandon him to Ryder's mercy." A heated debate erupted. Some argued it was too dangerous, that we'd already lost too many in the battle. Others supported the rescue mission, unwilling to leave anyone in Ryder's clutches. During the discussion, I had a strange feeling about Asher. He kept looking around anxiously, and it seemed like he was more focused on how others were reacting than on what was being said. "I agree with Aurora," Asher said suddenly, stopping everyone from talking. All eyes turned to him in surprise. "We can't leave one of our own in enemy hands. It's not our way." His support should have been reassuring, but instead, it only heightened my suspicions. Since when did Asher and I agree on anything? Xander, ever the diplomat, raised his hands for silence. "We'll send out scout teams first," he decided. "We need to locate Ryder's hideout before we can plan any rescue attempt." I stepped forward. "I want to be on one of those teams." Xander's expression tightened with concern. Aurora, you're still recovering. It's too dangerous. I'm going, I insisted, meeting his gaze steadily. I need to do this, Xander. After a while, he nodded reluctantly. Fine, but I'm going with you. And he looked at everyone. Asher, you're coming with us as well. Asher looked surprised, but he agreed with a nod. When the meeting ended and everyone started getting ready for the exploration trips, I saw Asher quietly leave the main group. I was curious, so I kept a distance and followed him. He went behind a big tent, where a wolf I didn't know was already there. I tried hard to listen to their quiet talk, but I could only catch bits and pieces. Can't keep this up much longer, Asher was saying. Just a little more time, the other wolf responded. If they find out. Their voices dropped even lower, and I couldn't catch the rest. Frustration and suspicion built within me. What was Asher hiding? I confronted him as he emerged from behind the tent. What are you up to, Asher? He seemed surprised, his eyes opening wide, but then he quickly tried to look innocent. What do you mean, Aurora? Stop pretending. Stop, I said firmly. You've been behaving oddly since I returned, and now secret meetings? What's going on? Asher's expression hardened. I don't owe you any explanations, Aurora. Focus on the mission ahead instead of throwing around baseless accusations. He brushed past me, leaving me seething and even more suspicious than before. As the scout teams prepared to leave, I could feel the tension building between Asher, Xander, and myself. Xander kept giving me worried looks, while Asher consistently didn't meet my eyes. Right before we were set to leave, a disturbance at the edge of the campsite grabbed everyone's focus. A wolf, with its fur tangled and stained with blood and dirt, hobbled into sight and then fell down. Xander and I hurried over, assisting the hurt wolf to stand. As we held it up, I spotted something gripped between its teeth, a piece of paper. With shaking hands, I took the paper and opened it up. The message inside made my blood run cold. To the so-called Luna of the Blackstone Pack, you have something I want, and I have something you want. A simple exchange, you for the mysterious wolf who so foolishly tried to save you. You have 24 hours to decide. Come alone to the Howling Cliffs, or your new friend will suffer the consequences. Tick-tock, little moonchild, Rider Storm. I read the message out loud, my voice trembling. The camp became quiet as everyone understood what it meant. Xander was the first to talk. No way, we're not giving you to that creature. But even as he said that, I could see he was unsure. We both knew the mysterious wolf's life was at risk. We should think about this logically, Asher said, sounding too calm. Perhaps we can turn this situation to our benefit. Set a trap for Ryder. I whirled on him, anger flaring. Use it to our advantage? We're talking about someone's life here, Asher. Someone who saved me. I'm suggesting we might be able to resolve this fight completely, Asher retorted. Sometimes we have to make tough choices for the overall benefit. His statement reminded me of what Ryder had said earlier, which made me feel uneasy. Before I could say anything, Xander moved in front of us. That's enough, he stated firmly. We're not deciding anything at this moment. We need to gather our thoughts and figure out a strategy. As the campsite became chaotic with activity, I remained still, looking at the note in my hands. The decision felt overwhelming. Risk my safety or let the wolf that helped me face suffering or even death. But beneath the fear and uncertainty, a spark of determination ignited within me. There had to be another way. I wouldn't let Ryder win, wouldn't let him tear apart everything and everyone I cared about. I looked up, catching Asher's eye across the camp. He held my gaze for a moment before quickly looking away, guilt flashing across his features. In that instant, I knew. Whatever Asher was hiding, it was big, and it was somehow connected to all of this. As the pack leaders gathered to discuss our options, I made a silent vow. I would uncover Asher's secret, save the mysterious wolf, and put an end to Ryder's reign of terror. No matter the cost, I needed to be stronger. I needed to be more in control. Ryder and his rogues are a threat, and the wolf's fate is uncertain. So I went to a quiet part of our pack's land and started to practice and improve my recently discovered skills. Time passed as I sat meditating, my eyes shut in focus. I could feel the energy flowing through my body, ready to be used. I concentrated on that subtle balance, attempting to strengthen my bond with it, to grasp its complexities and details. The The noise of crushed leaves and broken branches caught my attention, and I opened my eyes to see Xander coming closer, his gentle brown eyes filled with worry. "Aurora, sweetheart, please, you need to rest," he urged. "This rigorous training is affecting your health. You need to ease up." I shook my head, my chin firm with resolve. "I can't, Xander. I have to be ready. That wolf is counting on me, and I can't let them down. I have to stop Ryder once and for all." Xander's expression shifted, a mix of frustration and fear. "I understand, but you're pushing yourself too hard. What good will you be to the wolf if you collapse from exhaustion?" I opened my mouth to argue, but Xander held up a hand, silencing me. "Let me help you, Aurora. Let me train with you and test the limits of your abilities. I won't let you face this alone." Reluctantly, I nodded, and Xander joined me. We sparred, our movements sync, as we tested the boundaries of my power. To our surprise, I managed to overpower Xander, the extent of my control over light and shadow astounding us both. As we took a break, I saw Asher watching us from far away. I couldn't tell what he was thinking, and it made me a bit nervous. Suddenly, Jackson and Celine approached me, their expressions grave. "Aurora, we need to talk," Jackson said, his brow furrowed with concern. I nodded, bracing myself for their news. "What is it?" "We're worried about Asher," Celine mentioned, speaking quietly and gravely. "He has been acting strangely, and we think that he's hiding something from us." Jackson agreed with a nod. "Right, and we should watch him closely." I sighed, pushing my hand through my hair. "I understand, and I'm anxious too." I shared with them Asher's conversation I heard earlier. When I finished telling them, Xander was furious, but I calmed him and told him we needed to keep an eye on him for now. They all agreed, and I told them how I was feeling. "I need your help. I can't face Ryder and rescue the wolf alone, but I also can't shake the feeling that Asher might be up to something." Xander stepped forward, his strong arms wrapping around me in a comforting embrace. "We're here for you, Aurora. No matter what the problem is, we will solve it together." Nodding, I turned to the others. "Okay, let's call the pack and plan how we're going to rescue the wolf without sacrificing myself to Ryder's trap." Xander called the pack to a meeting, and we discussed the situation at length. After much debate, Xander proposed a risky plan to rescue the captive wolf without putting me in Ryder's clutches. "We'll send a small team to the Howling Cliffs, while the rest of us distract Ryder and his followers," Xander explained, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Aurora, I know you want to be the one to face Ryder, but it's too dangerous. We can't risk losing you." I opened my mouth to protest, but Xander silenced me with a gentle kiss. "Please, Aurora, trust me on this. I can't bear the thought of losing you." Reluctantly, I nodded, knowing that Xander was right. As much as I wanted to confront Ryder myself, I couldn't risk the safety of the pack or the mysterious wolf. "Okay, Xander, I trust you." We went back to our room, and I told Xander about my worries. "I'm scared, Xander. What if something bad happens?" The words came out quickly, and I shared my worries with Xander, who listened carefully. Xander hugged me tightly, his strong arms making me feel safe. "Everything will be fine, Aurora. We will handle this together." I rested my head on his chest. "I know, Xander. I'm just scared. What if we can't help the wolf? What if Ryder has another plan?" "Hush, everything will be all right," Xander murmured, gently running his fingers through my hair. "We'll handle this together, one step at a time." We remained silent for a bit, our bond deepening with every beat of our hearts. His loving embrace and unwavering support made my troubles feel lighter. Then, a sudden burst of frantic howling filled the air. Something wasn't right. Xander and I hurried out of our room to see the group assembled, their faces serious. "What's happening?" I asked, my heart racing with apprehension. Jackson stepped forward, his usually warm eyes filled with concern. "Ryder has sent another message, this time with a video of the captive wolf." My breath caught in my throat as Jackson played the video on a small device. The image of the battered, weakened wolf filled the screen, their eyes pleading with me. "Aurora," the wolf's raspy voice echoed, "you must come to the Howling Cliffs alone. Ryder demands it, or he will kill me." I watched, my expression hardening with determination, even as the pack argued about what to do next. "I have to go," I told them, breaking into the heated discussion. Xander's eyes grew wide. He gently but firmly grasped my arm. "Aurora, don't. It's too dangerous. Ryder is expecting you to go alone, and we can't risk losing you. I placed my hand over him, meeting his gaze with unwavering determination. I know, Xander, but I have to try. Xander's expression shifted, a mix of fear and resolve. Then I'm going with you. I can't let you face Ryder alone. I shook my head, squeezing his hand reassuringly. No, Xander. Ryder expects me to come alone, and if we deviate from his plan, he might hurt the wolf. I need you to stay here and lead the pack. I'll be all right, I promise. Before Xander could argue further, I turned to the pack leaders. I'm going to the Howling Cliffs. Ryder is expecting me, and I can't let that wolf suffer any longer, but I need you all to be ready. If something goes wrong, I need you to be there to help me. Jackson and Celine nodded, their eyes filled with worry but also a resolute determination. We'll be there, Aurora. We won't let you face Ryder alone. I took a deep breath. All right, let's do this. With a brief look at Xander, I began my trip. My heart was racing from fear and determination. The wolf's plea was too much to ignore. I decided to take the risk. I had to try. As I got closer to the Howling Cliffs, I smelled Ryder and his rogues. I stopped for a moment to focus, using the balance of light and dark inside me. Ryder, I'm here, just like you wanted. Where is the wolf? A dark, mocking laugh came from the cliffs, and Ryder stepped out of the shadows, a cruel smile on his face. Well, if it isn't the brave Aurora, I must say I'm surprised you came. Where is the wolf, Ryder? I asked. I'm here, just as you wanted. Now release him. Ryder's eyes squinted, and he shook his head. Oh, my dear Aurora, you are innocent. Did you think I would simply give you the wolf? My heart sank as I realized he tricked me. You lied. The wolf was never here, was it? Ryder let out a loud, mocking laugh. Of course not. Did you think I would give up my bargaining chip so easily? No, and you, my dear, are right where I want you. Ryder's rogues appeared from the dark, trapping me. I was ready to fight back, but my chances looked bleak. What do you want from me, Ryder? I asked, my voice laced with defiance. Ryder's grin widened, and he stepped closer, his eyes gleaming with malice. What I want, Aurora, is simple. I want you and your power, and I'll do whatever it takes to get it. I felt a sudden burst of energy, a mix of bright light and dark shadows reacting to my command. Ryder's rogues surrounded me, their eyes showing a strong desire for a fight, but I was prepared. The careful control of my recently acquired skills was buzzing under my skin, ready to be used. When they charged, I moved quickly and smoothly, dodging their attacks. My long practice and improved senses helped me predict their moves before they happened. I turned, barely escaping a pair of very sharp claws, my heart beating loudly in my head. Is that all you've got? I taunted, my voice steadier than I felt. Sensing an opportunity, I gathered my strength and unleashed a pulse of pure light energy. The burst exploded outward, momentarily blinding and disorienting the rogues. Their howls of confusion and pain filled the air, giving me a fleeting sense of satisfaction. In the confusion, I saw a chance to escape. I didn't think twice and ran as fast as I could, hoping to get away, but then someone I knew blocked my way. Ryder was there, smiling like he had won. Trying to leave, Aurora? He said in a mean voice. Before I could say anything, Ryder attacked with a strong, dark force. It came at me like a big wave, ready to swallow me up. I quickly put up my hands and created a shield of light to stop the attack. The fight between the light and the dark was forceful. It pushed both Ryder and me back. I almost fell, trying hard to stand as the ground shook. As I stood up again, I heard some familiar sounds. My heart felt hopeful when I saw Xander, Jackson, Celine, and the others from our pack come out of the shadows. They came, just as they promised. Aurora! Xander's voice rang out, filled with equal parts relief and concern. But there was no time for reunions. Ryder's pack quickly came together again, starting a planned assault that made our pack separate to fight them. The hill turned into a wild scene, with noises of growling and fighting all around. I saw Xander fighting with one of the rogues, their sharp nails and teeth meeting in a strong struggle. His movements were powerful and precise, but I could see the worry in his eyes every time they flicked towards me. Nearby, Jackson and Celine worked in perfect tandem, their combined powers creating a formidable defense against multiple attackers. I had always admired their teamwork, and now it was clearly visible as they fought to protect our group. But when I focused on my situation again, I realized with increasing fear that I was surrounded. The rogues had succeeded in separating me from the others, their eyes showing their harmful intentions as they moved closer. I could feel my strength fading due to the continuous defensive actions, my breaths becoming uneven and difficult. "Getting tired, Aurora?" Ryder's mocking voice cut through the chaos. "I thought you were meant to be extraordinary." I clenched my teeth, struggling to gather more strength. The stress of the fight was wearing me down, and I could sense my grip on my abilities weakening. The careful equilibrium between light and darkness inside me was shaking, on the verge of falling apart. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Xander escape from his battle, hurrying toward me with a look of urgency on his face. But before he could get to me, Ryder blocked his way, stopping my only hope for help. "Ah! Ah! Ah!" Ryder tusked, wagging a finger at Xander. "This is between me and Aurora. You'll get your chance soon." I was terrified as I saw one of the rogues exploit Xander's moment of inattention, delivering a brutal strike that knocked him to the ground. Seeing my mate fall shattered something within me, my concentration shattering like fragile glass. "Xander," I yelled, my voice hoarse with terror and pain. At that moment of vulnerability, Ryder took his chance. With a victorious chuckle, he unleashed a strong, shadowy assault that surrounded me entirely. I felt the darkness closing in, choking and heavy. I tried to use my power, but I was weak. The last sounds I heard as the darkness took me were despairing cries of the pack, voices fading. Ryder's laughter rang out through the turmoil, his triumph over me seemingly absolute. As I lost consciousness, my last thought was about Xander, our pack, and the mysterious wolf we couldn't save. When I opened my eyes and found myself in a strange environment, there was a powerful smell of wet earth and something rotting. It sounded like I was in a cave with water dripping far away. My muscles were all sore, making it tough to move around. "Looks like you're finally awake," Ryder's voice cut through the darkness, making me shiver. I blinked, trying to see better in the poor light. Ryder was a few steps away, his shape only just visible in the dimness. Behind him, I could see the shadowy forms of several of his followers, their eyes glowing in the dark. "What do you want, Ryder?" I spat, trying to infuse my voice with more strength than I felt. Ryder chuckled, the sound devoid of any real humor. "Oh, Aurora, I thought I made that clear. I want you, your power, the perfect balance of light and shadow that you possess." I fought against the ropes tying me up, noticing that my hands and feet were tied with something that felt like magic chains. These chains seemed to weaken my skills, stopping me from using any of my powers. "You won't succeed with this," I said angrily, looking around the cave for a way to escape. "My pack will come and rescue me." Ryder's laughter filled the cave, making me feel uneasy. "Oh, I'm hoping they do, my dear. I'm actually excited about it." The realization of what Ryder was planning hit me like a physical blow. He had used me as bait, just as he had used the mysterious wolf. And now my pack was in danger because of me. "No," I whispered. "Please, Ryder. This is between you and me. Leave them out of this." Ryder moved nearer, his eyes shining with spite in the faint light. But where would the enjoyment be in that? "No, Aurora. I want you to see me ruin everything you care about. And then, when you're shattered and all by yourself, I'll grab your power for my own." I felt a rush of resistance inside me, fighting against the hopelessness that was trying to take over. "You're mistaken, Ryder. My pack is tougher than you think. They'll put a stop to you." Ryder's smile grew bigger, showing a dangerous look in his eyes. "We'll find out about that, won't we? For now, why don't you settle in? You're going to stay here for quite some time." With that, Ryder walked off, leaving me by myself in the dark with my worries and regrets. I shut my eyes, attempting to steady myself, to locate that mix of light and darkness within me that had always been my source of strength. But as I sat there, tied up and powerless, I couldn't stop wondering if I had made a mistake. Had my determination to save the mysterious wolf and stop Ryder led me straight into his trap? And worse, had I inadvertently put my entire pack in danger? The burden of my decisions felt heavy, like it could break my spirit. But as I heard the constant dripping of water in the cave, I made a quiet promise. No matter what Ryder was planning or what scary things were waiting for me, I would find a way to keep my pack safe, even if it cost me everything. As exhaustion began to overtake me, my thoughts drifted to Xander, to Jackson and Celine, To all the members of my pack who had stood by me, I hoped they were safe, that they would be smart enough to stay away. But deep down, I knew they would come for me. It brought both relief and fear. The cave's blackness felt like it was closing in on me, matching the darkness that seemed ready to swallow my hope. Yet, as I fell into a restless sleep, I held on to one idea. This wasn't finished, not even close. I woke up with a start, my head pounding and my body bruised. When my eyes had become used to the dim light, I found that I was inside a cave. The smell of air was wet earth mixed with something threatening. I tried to get up, but my wrists and ankles were tied with chains that felt like they had strange energy. These chains weren't normal. They were making me feel powerless and exposed. The noise of approaching footsteps in the cave caught my attention. Ryder entered, flanked by his followers. My heart raced as I saw the items they carried, ancient artifacts and ingredients that reeked of dark magic. Whatever Ryder had planned, it couldn't be good. "Ah, Aurora," Ryder's voice dripped with false warmth. "So glad you're awake." I tried to break free from the chains, but the chains just clinked without helping. "What are you planning, Ryder?" I spat, trying to mask my fear with defiance. Ryder's mouth twisted into a mean grin as he started to draw a complicated pattern around me. The shapes were strange to me, but they made me feel scared. "Oh, my dear Aurora," he said, his tone dark and threatening. "I'm going to take what was meant to be mine, your powers." When I truly grasped what he was telling me, I felt a chill run through my body. Ryder intended to extract my unique balance of light and shadow powers, the very essence of who I was. "You're insane," I growled. "It won't work. My powers are a part of me, not something you can just take." Ryder laughed, the sound echoing off the cavern walls. "We shall see about that." As Ryder finished drawing the circle, he started to speak in an ancient language I couldn't understand. The words stayed in the air, feeling heavy and uncomfortable. Dark energy began to move around the cave, making the air hard to breathe. All of a sudden, I felt a sharp pulling inside me. Ryder was trying to take my powers, and it hurt a lot. I clenched my teeth, not wanting to let him hear me cry out. In my panic, I looked around the cave for anything that could help me fight back. That's when I noticed a tiny hole in the cave's roof, showing the night sky. The full moon, big and bright, was right there. I concentrated all my thoughts on that bit of moonlight, trying to connect with the moon, which has always given us strength. As I did this, I felt a warm feeling start to spread inside me, fighting against the cold, unwanted pull of Ryder's ritual. The moonlight seemed to intensify, casting a soft glow over me. I could see the frustration on Ryder's face as his dark energy clashed with the pure, silvery light. "No!" Ryder snarled, his composure cracking. He increased the intensity of his chanting, and the dark energy in the cave grew stronger, pressing in on me from all sides. As the two forces fought inside and around me, I had quick glimpses of the past, my pack, their faces showing determination and love. Xander, his eyes full of passion and protectiveness, our fights against Ryder and his supporters. These memories made me stronger, reminding me of what I was fighting for. The conflicting energies made the cave shake. Small rocks and pieces of dirt started to fall from the ceiling, and I could see Ryder's rogues looking worried at each other. This wasn't what they had expected the ritual to be like. I felt my powers changing a lot inside me, reacting to the fight of energies. Flashes of light and darkness burst all over the cave, making a wild light show that showed the battle happening inside me. Ryder, his face contorted with determination and rage, pressed on with the ritual. He seemed oblivious to the dangers of the unstable energies swirling around us, focused solely on his goal of claiming my powers for himself. As the ritual reached its peak, I felt the enchanted chains binding me begin to crack. The strain of containing my fluctuating powers was proving too much for them. Hope surged within me. If I could break free, I might have a chance to fight back. Just then, a sound cut through the chaos of the ritual. Howls, distant but unmistakable. My pack! They came for me, just as I had expected. Ryder heard the howls too. His eyes widened with alarm before narrowing in anger. "Guard the entrance," he barked at his followers. "Do not let them interfere." As Ryder's attention was momentarily diverted, I redoubled my efforts to resist the ritual. The vortex of energy surrounding us intensified, my powers and Ryder's dark magic creating a maelstrom of light and shadow. For a moment, it seemed Ryder might succeed. The pull on my powers intensified, and I felt as though I was being torn apart from the inside. But then, with a final surge of resistance fueled by thoughts of my pack and the strength of the moon above, my chains shattered. The burst of combined light and shadow energy that accompanied my release knocked Ryder off his feet. The ritual circle was broken and chaos erupted in the cavern. Rocks fell from the ceiling as the ground shook violently beneath us. I stood, free but weakened, facing Ryder as he scrambled to his feet. His face showed a mix of shock and anger when he understood that his well-thought-out plans had fallen apart. "This isn't over, Aurora," he said angrily, his voice almost drowned out by the noise of the cave collapsing. I was about to respond, but then everything around me started spinning. The effort of fighting against the ritual and the sudden use of my powers had worn me out. My vision became unclear, and I felt myself falling. The last thing I saw before I lost consciousness was Ryder's face, showing both anger and planning in his eyes. When I woke up, I was in a different room, smaller, but just as heavy with tension. As my vision got better, I noticed I wasn't alone. There, chained to the wall across from me, was the mysterious wolf we had been trying to save. Our eyes met, and I saw a mix of hope and fear in his gaze. Despite being tired and still feeling the effects of Ryder's unsuccessful ritual, I felt a strong determination rise within me. We were both prisoners now, but this wasn't the end. Somehow, we would find a way out of this. It wasn't until then that I finally woke up and realized I was lying in a small, dark cell. Heavy air hung low with the smell of damp rock, accompanied by a hint of something else. A scent both far too familiar, yet somehow too out of place to be captured by my memory. My body was sore all over from the traumatic experience of what Ryder had attempted with that ritual. Despite the pain, I made myself take in the scene around me. That's when I saw him. The mysterious wolf we had been trying to rescue. He was chained to the opposite wall, his fur matted and his body bearing signs of long captivity. But it was his eyes that caught my attention. They seemed to bore into me with an intensity that felt familiar. "Aurora," the wolf called out, his voice weak but carrying a tone that sent a shiver of recognition through me. "Aurora, is that really you?" With an effort, I struggled to my feet, my body aching. My heart was racing as I moved toward the wolf chained there. "Who are you?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. "How do you know who I am?" The wolf's eyes are amber bright, just like mine, relayed a mixture of emotions, relief, sadness, and a hint of hope. "Aurora," he said, his tone growing surer. "It's me. It's Aiden, your brother." Everything around me seemed to spin as I understood what he was saying. Aiden? My brother? But that was impossible. Aiden had died years ago, killed in the attack that had orphaned me. Hadn't he? I took a step back, suddenly hit by a flood of memories from my childhood. Aiden and I used to have the best times playing in those woods, our parents watching with warm, loving smiles. Then there was that terrible night, the attack, chaos, screams, and after that, nothing. Aiden was gone, as if he had vanished. "No," I breathed, shaking my head in refusal. "No way, Aiden's dead. He didn't make it out of there. You can't be." The wolf, could it be Aiden? It made a gentle, whimpering noise. "I know this is difficult to hear, Aurora," he whispered, "but I swear to you, it is the truth. I didn't die that night. Ryder, he kidnapped me. He's kept me prisoner all these years." My mind was spinning, trying to understand this news. Could it be true? Could my brother, whom I had grieved for so long, really be alive? "Prove it," I insisted, my voice trembling. "If you're Aiden, prove it. Tell me something only my brother would know." Aiden's eyes became gentle, and a sorrowful smile appeared at the edges of his mouth. "Do you recall the secret spot we had in the old oak tree? The one with the bent branch that resembled a witch's nose? We used to imagine it was our castle, and you were always the queen because you said I was too untidy to be a royal." I was in shock and instantly welled up in tears. That hideout was our secret. It was something we never shared with anyone else. It was a memory that I kept near my heart all these years. A very special memory of the brother I'd lost. "Aiden," I managed to say, falling to my knees next to him. "Oh my God, Aiden, it is you." I broke down then, overwhelmed by the realization that my brother was alive. All these years I had carried the weight of his loss, and now here he was, battered and chained, but alive. Aiden nuzzled his nose into my palm, giving me all the comfort he possibly could, considering the ropes tying him up. Once I managed to pull myself together, I glanced at him with eyes all blurry from crying. What happened? How did you survive all these years? Aiden's expression darkened. It wasn't easy. Ryder, he's cruel and relentless. He did those terrible experiments on me because he thought I had some sort of powers. There were times when I didn't think I'd make it, but then I'd think of you guys and our family, and somehow that kept me pushing through. I couldn't fathom what Aiden was saying as he related to the experience of being kept hostage. He spoke about tests, training, and the control they'd had on him. My heart felt his pain. But something unexpected happened, Aiden continued, his voice low. Through all of Ryder's experiments and my determination to survive, I developed abilities, unique powers that even Ryder hadn't anticipated. My eyes widened. What kind of abilities? Aiden hesitated, as if thinking of how to reveal it to me. It's hard to explain. I can sense things, energies, intentions. I can sometimes influence them too. It's how I've been able to watch over you these past months. Watch over me? I repeated, confusion and a hint of anger in my voice. What do you mean? I felt like shouting and getting angry about how unfair everything was. But when I saw Aiden and the real sadness in his eyes, my anger started to fade. You've been around all this time and you never revealed yourself? How could you, Aiden? Do you know what I've gone through? I felt really angry and upset. All this time, my brother was alive and close by, but he decided to stay hidden. Aiden flinched at the pain in my voice. I wanted to, Aurora, more than anything, but I was afraid that if I approached you directly, Ryder would find out and use me to get to you. I thought I could protect you better from the shadows. I felt like shouting and getting angry about how unfair everything was. But when I saw Aiden and the real sadness in his eyes, my anger started to fade. I get why you did it, I whispered. But Aiden, we could have faced this together. You didn't have to be alone. Aiden nodded, regret clear on his face. I know that now. I'm sorry, Aurora. I hope you can forgive me. Before I could respond, we both tensed at the sound of approaching footsteps. Fear gripped my heart. Was Ryder returning to finish what he had started? Aurora, Aiden whispered urgently. Listen, we are running out of time. We have to leave this place. I agreed, thinking quickly. Do you have a plan? Aiden's eyes showed he was very determined. I've been conserving my strength, waiting for just the right moment. If we join forces and make the most of it, we might have a shot at this. Are you ready? I took a deep breath, centering myself. Despite everything, I trusted Aiden. He was my brother, and together, we stood a better chance than alone. I'm ready. What do we do? Quickly and quietly, Aiden outlined his plan. It was risky, but it was the best we had. As the footsteps drew closer, we tensed up ready for whatever, or whoever, would shortly pass through that door. The creak of the opening cell door snapped us out of our thoughts. Aiden and I held our breath, poised to deal with whatever, or whoever, was about to make an entrance. When the door finally swung wide, revealing the person outside, I couldn't believe my eyes. Right beside me, Aiden sucked in a shocked breath. There, framed in the doorway, was Alpha Asher. His face had mixed feelings. He just stood there. For a moment, it felt as though the world around us had suddenly ceased to exist. I stared at Asher, confused. Was he a prisoner too? Had he come to rescue us, or... The silence in the cell was deafening as Asher stood before us, his presence as unexpected as it was confusing. My thoughts were going fast, trying to understand why our group's next leader was here, in Ryder's protected place. Next to me, I could feel Aiden getting ready, prepared to act if needed. Asher shut the door behind him, looking at both Aiden and me. It was obvious he was struggling with something, and I couldn't stop myself from feeling both mad and puzzled. What are you doing here, Asher? I demanded, my voice trembling slightly. Are you working with Ryder? Asher took a deep breath, his shoulders sagging slightly as if a great weight were being lifted. No, Aurora, I'm not working with Ryder, at least not in the way you think. I felt Aiden shift beside me, his voice low and warning. Be careful, Aurora. We can't trust him too quickly. Asher's eyes flickered to Aiden, a look of recognition passing over his face. You must be Aiden. I've heard about you. Explain yourself, Asher, I interrupted, not willing to let him change the subject. What do you mean by not working with Ryder in the way I think? Asher looked back at me, his eyes showing a mix of determination and regret. I've been working as a double agent, Aurora. I've been getting close to Ryder's inner circle to gather information. That's why I've been acting weird lately. I couldn't risk anyone finding out, not even you or Xander. The news really surprised me. For a long time, Asher had been doing something very risky, doing something dangerous right in front of us. A part of me was happy he hadn't really gone against us, but another part felt sad because he hadn't been honest with us. Why didn't you tell us? I asked, my voice softer now. We could have helped, protected you. Asher shook his head, a sad smile on his face. I couldn't risk it. Ryder has many spies, Aurora, the more extensive than any of us realized. If there was even a hint that I was working against him, it would have all been for nothing. As Asher began to share the intel he had gathered about Ryder's plans and the layout of the compound, I noticed Aiden listening intently, his expression thoughtful. Some of what he's saying aligns with what I know, Aiden said quietly to me. But stay alert. We can't be certain of his true motives yet. I nodded, thankful for my brother's careful approach. It was still unbelievable to have him here, alive, and next to me after so many years. Asher, I said, cutting into his explanation, I understand why you kept this secret, but it doesn't change the fact that your behavior puts a strain on the pack, on our trust in you. Asher's face fell, genuine remorse in his eyes. I know, Aurora, and I am deeply sorry, but I hope the things I learned can help fix it. We're short on time, but I have a plan to get us out of here. While Asher explained his plan for getting away, which included using hidden tunnels, I felt conflicted. Part of me wanted desperately to believe him, to trust that he was still the loyal friend and pack member I had always known. But another part, the part that had been through so much betrayal and pain, hesitated. Aiden listened to the plan, then spoke up. I might be able to help. My abilities, I can sense energies and presences. I could guide us past potential dangers. Asher's eyes opened a bit wider when he heard the news, but he quickly added it to our strategy. As he talked, I noticed his voice getting more anxious. All of a sudden, a far-off alarm started ringing, its sound bouncing off the hard walls of our prison room. Asher quickly looked up, his face showing more tension. We don't have much time left, he said, hurrying to free Aiden from his chains. Aurora, I understand you're not completely sure, but for now, this plan is our only real option. Do you agree to join us? I paused for just a little longer, feeling the importance of my choice pressing down on me. Finally, I nodded. I'm with you. But Asher, if this is a trap... It's not, he assured me, his eyes meeting mine with an intensity that almost made me believe him completely. I swear on my life, Aurora, I'm here to help. With Aiden freed, we slipped out of the cell and into the dimly lit corridor beyond. The alarm continued to blare, but so far we hadn't encountered any guards. Asher went first, and Aiden followed closely, focusing intensely with his eyes shut as he used his special skills to detect any threats coming our way. While we walked through the winding hallways, I was amazed by how Aiden and I were both unique and alike in certain aspects. We each had our own special talents, and we both had experienced pain from Ryder. However, while I had the backing of my group, Aiden had been on his own for a very long time. I quietly promised myself that if we survived this, I would ensure he never had to face anything by himself again. We reached a place where the tunnels were divided into two paths, and we needed to choose which one to take. Asher pointed to the left. This way. It's longer, but less guarded. Aiden, however, shook his head. No, I sense danger down that path. The right fork feels clearer. I looked at them and saw that they were very focused. The noise of people walking towards us got louder and louder. We were out of time. Aurora, Asher said urgently, you have to pick. Left or right? At that moment, with the weight of our lives hanging on my decision, I realized how much had changed. Just days ago, I would have trusted Asher without question. Now I found myself torn between his familiar presence and the brother I had just rediscovered. Taking a deep breath, I made my choice. Right, we go right. I didn't wait. I ran into the tunnel to the right, and Aiden and Asher followed closely. The tunnel was tight and dark, with only a few lights on the walls that flickered now and then, giving us some light. We ran for what felt like a very long time, and the sounds of the people chasing us got quieter. Just when I thought we might get away, we rounded a corner and came to a sudden halt. In front of us stood a massive iron gate with thick, strong bars. Beyond it, I could see sunlight, a sign of freedom, but the gate seemed impossible to get through. No, Asher breathed, his eyes wide with disbelief. This wasn't on any of the plans I saw. It shouldn't be here. Aiden's face was grim. I sense a powerful energy from it. This isn't just a physical barrier. The sound of approaching footsteps began to grow louder once more. We were trapped, caught between Ryder's forces and this unexpected obstacle. I turned to Asher and Aiden, seeing the same mix of determination and fear in their eyes that I felt. "Any ideas?" I asked, trying to keep the desperation out of my voice. Asher shook his head, his earlier confidence shaken. I'm not sure. This changes everything." Aiden, however, had a contemplative look on his face. "Maybe not everything," he said slowly. "Aurora, remember what I said about my abilities? About influencing energies?" I nodded, still not completely sure where he was heading with this. "I think," Aiden continued, "that if we combine our abilities, your balance of light and dark, and my expertise in managing energy, we might be able to unlock the gate that's currently sealed by a spell." This plan was dangerous, but since we could hear people getting closer, it was our only choice. "All right," I said, taking a deep breath to relax myself. "Where do we begin?" Aiden reached out and took my hand. As soon as our hands touched, I experienced a surge of energy, something entirely new to me. It felt like the core of our shared heritage was resonating, acknowledging its existence. "Focus on the gate," Aiden instructed, his voice strained with concentration. "Channel your power into breaking down its defenses. I'll guide and amplify our combined energy." I followed his instructions, searching inside myself for the careful mix of light and darkness that was my natural ability. I sensed Aiden's power blending with mine, helping to direct and form it into something I never thought was possible. The entrance started to sparkle, and the space around it looked wavy, like when it's really hot outside. I tried even harder, and I could feel sweat on my forehead because of the hard work. Next to me, I heard Aiden breathing heavily, and I felt his hand shaking in mine as he gave all his energy to our shared goal. Right when I thought I couldn't keep going, there was a noise like breaking glass. The gate's shimmer intensified for a moment, then vanished entirely. The iron bars remained, but the magical barrier that had reinforced them was gone. "Now!" Asher cried, rushing forward to physically attack the gate. With the magical protection gone, the iron bars groaned and bent under his assault. Aiden and I joined him, our combined strength finally forcing a gap wide enough for us to squeeze through. The sounds of pursuit were alarmingly close now, echoing just around the last bend of the tunnel. "Go!" I shouted, pushing Aiden through the gap first. Asher followed, then turned to help pull me through. Just as I cleared the gate, I saw Ryder's guards around the corner. Our eyes met for a brief moment before Asher pulled me fully through, and we were running once more, this time under the open sky. The taste of freedom was sweet, but I knew we couldn't celebrate yet. We had left Ryder's place, but we weren't safe yet. While we were running, trying to get away from the people chasing us, I kept thinking about what difficulties might be waiting for us. We had gotten out of one dangerous situation, but I had a feeling that our troubles were not finished. Ryder was still around, and he now knew exactly what Aiden and I were capable of when we worked together. Whatever happened next, I knew it would push us to our limits. Running with Aiden on one side and Asher on the other, I headed towards an uncertain future, hoping that the strength of our family and group would be enough to help us face what challenges were coming.